Irish kid. I was impressed by his tenacity.
This guy up. Oh, McCullough is looking a little bit weary, a little bit worn. Another blizzard of punches comes in from the Olympic silver medalist.
The kid at that point in time had what it takes to become world champion.
There was no way that I was going to leave the ring without the championship belt around my waist.
He was ready to die for this. He wanted it so bad.
I always knew that I would be world champion.
And welcome to a very special edition of Prime Championship Boxing. I'm Rich Murata. Tonight we present for you the WBC Bantamweight Championship fight between the champion Yasui Yakushiji, who is defending the title for the 5th time, against the challenger and a kid you basically have seen grown up here on Prime Championship Boxing, young Wayne McCullough. McCullough, you might remember, is the Olympic Games silver medalist from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Now, this championship fight took place July the 30th in Nagoya, Japan. This will be the first time that the fight is shown in its entirety here in the United States. It was a superb fight, and we look forward to showing you all of the action tonight right here on Prime. But first, we want to take a look at the young man challenging for the title. The Wayne McCullough story is a very interesting one, to say the least. And tonight, we're going to give boxing fans a look at the most significant fights in his career and speak with the legendary trainers, Eddie Futch and Thell Torrence, the men who molded McCullough into a world champion fighter and very responsible for his success inside the ring. We're also going to get a little closer view at Wayne's life outside the ring. You know, like a lot of boxers, Wayne McCullough came from impoverished surroundings. But beyond just the economic difficulties lie the political and military tensions which infiltrated everyday life in his neighborhood, Belfast. For a young Wayne McCullough, the dream of a better life, though, is what saved him from a life of drugs and violence.
I always remember standing at my front door and just thinking during the day that there has to be something better than this. And I never was unemployed on the dole and never had any money. And it was just depressing more than anything. And tanks and guns is just part of everyday life. I came from a place called the Shankill Road. That's one of the top Protestant areas and probably one of the best well-known places in Belfast. And it was a hard neighbourhood, but I stayed out of trouble. I went to the gym every night. I kept me out of gangs and all the violence. And I'm glad I did box, because if I didn't box, I'd probably be in a gang back home shooting people. And I think boxing got me out of what they call the ghetto. And I'll never forget where I came from, but it's good. I wanted to make a better life for myself and my wife.
So at 15 years old, with no real qualifications, Wayne decided to leave high school and pursue boxing as a career. After winning close to 200 amateur fights, the young Irishman stepped into the spotlight in Barcelona at the 1992 Olympic Games. But winning the silver medal for Wayne McCullough did not come without paying a heavy price.
Well, I had 5 hard fights at the Olympics in 6 days. But the semi-final, I fought the North Korean. That's probably one of my hardest fights ever, professional or amateur. And he cracked the cheekbone just here and busted a nerve in my face. And I went into the final with that, and because I never got checked out with the doctors. And once the Cuban hit me on the face, it was like electricity going through my face. And the blood started to seep out of the corner of my eye. Everybody thought I had a cut over my eye, but it never cut. The blood just came underneath my cheek and out the corner of my eye. And there was a lot of pain, but that wasn't an excuse that I got beat. I went out the last round and I almost knocked the guy out. But the computer scoring is crazy, and the old system probably would have worked better for me, because I threw a lot of body shots and they didn't count one of them. I could beat 14-8 in the computer scoring.
Well, success in the amateur ranks surely does not ensure success in the professional arena. But after signing a managerial contract with Matt Tinley, Wayne McCullough got the biggest break of his pro career, a career that had yet to hear the first bell. Eddie Futch, the trainer of such champions as Joe Frazier and Riddick Bowe, decided to take McCullough into his fold of fighters.
I saw some of Eddie Futch and Wayne McCullough because I had been like that throughout my career. I would stand back and listen and watch. I was impressed by his tenacity. He hadn't quite acquired all the technique that would make it as effective as it later became. But the fact that he was in front of his opponent all the time. He was always there looking for the opportunity to take advantage of any mistakes that his opponent made.
When I turned professional with Matt Tinley, I didn't know who my trainer was going to be. I think I was going to go to Washington or something with another trainer, and then a few days before it came to America, Matt called me up and told me he was going with Eddie Futch, and I only see him on television. It was like, he's going to be my trainer. So it was like an honor for him to train me. So I came to America. My first fight, Eddie wasn't there. My first fight, Thell was there. And I came to Vegas the day after my fight, and I met Eddie for the first time. And he wasn't going to take any more fighters on. I mean, he watched my tape of the fight, and he decided to take me on. So Eddie's got something new to learn me every day. Him and Thell are day in, day out, something new. And it's just unbelievable, the knowledge that he has. It's just, him and Thell are the best trainers in the world today.
His first fight was in Hollywood. At that time, I saw a little tough, wiry Irish kid, head straight up, gutty, a lot of heart. I saw a lot of things that need to be done, and that was my first good overall picture of him. And I saw him then possibly being champion of the world with some adjustment made by us.
Right on the mark with these punches is McCullough. Not wasting any shots.
To begin his pro career, Wayne and his wife Cheryl moved across the world from Belfast to Las Vegas, Nevada, in order to train with Eddie Futch and Thell Torrence. Although it was rather lonely for the newlyweds in their first year, they grew to love their new lifestyle in America. Cheryl, in fact, is such a calming influence on Wayne that she is the only wife allowed in the training camp. Under the guidance of Futch and Thell Torrence, McCullough won 9 straight fights. Team McCullough decided then it was time to step up the competition. Veteran Jerome Coffey was seen as his first big test as a pro. Coffey, who had been in with 7 world champions in his career, thought he would be able to teach the youngster a lesson.
I saw the Coffey fight as one of his big tests because Coffey watched him every day in the gym. We trained in the same gym. And Coffey didn't have too much respect for his abilities because he thought that he was going to be easy. He said before the fight in his television interview that what he was going to do to Wayne and how he was going to do it, and he was so confident. But when he got in there with Wayne, all the things that he thought he saw, they were turned around.
From the outset of the fight, Coffey realized that the McCullough in the gym was not the same fighter as in the ring.
Here between Coffey and McCullough. Oh, yeah, and Coffey is cut over the left eye. He suffered a cut in that last round. They worked on it, and they told him to stay off the ropes. I'd say pretty good advice. When your back hits those ropes, you got to slide down them.
McCullough 9-0.
Yeah, you can't get over there in no man's land. Right over there is where Wayne McCullough is so dangerous. You cannot get in those corners. And you got to walk around it. McCullough is right straight ahead, no nonsense. You got to walk around him.
Coffey laying on the ropes too much, and you see here just pushes himself out to the middle of the ring.
Yeah, there's that right, overhand right from Coffey that landed in the second round.
So far through 3 rounds, Sean, we have seen McCullough in his early days as a pro. 9 fights, 8 knockouts, 9 wins, and he has really risen to the occasion here tonight. No question, this is his best opponent.
And Absolutely. You're only, boom, very nice. Double left hook downstairs to the body. Pull your opponent's hands down and then go upstairs to the head. Very nice work. You know, he has risen to another level tonight. He now is taking that step up to a main event fighter. This man has much more experience than McCullough. McCullough is fighting him and beating him on the inside.
This is the 47th pro fight for Coffey, but you also have to consider, and he does too, that he is at the end of the trail, and this is why it's a testing fight for him. How does he match up with one of the rising stars in the division?
Sure, but you can just see the focus written all over the face of McCullough. His punches are very sharp. His eyes are clear. He is so focused, looking in right where he wants to aim and land.
One reason he's so happy to finally turn pro, he says those amateur fights were too short. He feels as a pro now just kind of warms up after 3 or 4 rounds. So that's bad news for Coffey if McCullough is just warming up.
And he's in great condition.
Silver medal winner at Barcelona, representing Ireland. He faced Cuba's Joel Casamayor in the finals. And McCullough suffered a broken left cheekbone in the second round. He continued on, dished it out for the 3rd round, but lost a close decision.
Well, he is certainly dishing it out in this fight. Coffey has got to be thinking to himself, geez, get this kid off me. You know, Coffey could do some good damage with a straight jab. You got to keep somebody like McCullough. You got to put something on the end of it. You got to push him out there at the end of your punches. Kaboom. See, he'll just walk right through you. And McCullough does. Good shots. Combinations are the key.
Go second.
Relentless pressure will bring your opponent down to your speed, and then you land the big, heavy shots. Look at these combinations. Watch these 2 punches that are put together here by McCullough. Right there, we're talking birdland. Kaboom. Ouch. Start hearing the birds and the train coming through, and hear all kinds of things happening. That's smart. A ringing in the ear.
Now, how do you separate Coffey from just kind of playing a little possum and waiting to get to the later rounds, or a guy in trouble?
Well, you know, so if you're going to wait for Wayne McCullough to run out of gas, I mean, you're going to have to wait a long time. I know that he has surrounded himself with the best trainers in boxing, and he fights like a professional. He does not fight like an amateur. A lot of amateurs come out in the first part of the round, they score well, then they fade as the round goes on. Well, he is more of a pro. See, he ended up that last round with the big heavy combination that we just showed you, the replay. That's how you know.
Well, McCullough says if I go 10 rounds, he'll have to be in pretty good shape to go 10 with me.
Exactly. Well, what Coffey is having all kinds of trouble with is this pressure. Coffey not, although he says he's in great condition, not quite in the shape to throw punches like McCullough is. To be able to do this in a fight, you've got to throw punches in the gym on that heavy bag, round after round after round. No clinching on the heavy bag. Or in sparring, you've got to throw shots. Look at that. Boom. Oh, the overhand right has done so much damage to Jerome Coffey, who was cut in the 3rd round over that eye.
Well, Coffey came out, said that he was going to dictate the pace. Not. Keep McCullough off balance. Not. Set some traps. Not yet. And, you know, we were talking about this test for Coffey. We asked him, how are you going to be objective about that? He said, well, if I can't do certain things versus McCullough, I will know. So considering what he wanted to do, and he has not done it, he may know where tonight's leading him.
Yes, however, he must be honest with himself. At 34 years old, he's got to honestly take a look at this fight on tape and decide whether he wants to continue his career. What fighters they're not honest with themselves. They want to keep fighting when they're past their prime. Big left hook by McCullough. You know, this relentless attack reminiscent of some great fighters. The first one I think of is Marciano. Look at this aggression. Look at the inside punches. Look at the nice combination hooks. You don't see him throwing single punches. You don't see him going out there feeling out his opponent. Wayne McCullough is a bell-to-bell bomber.
From Belfast.
After 5 rounds, he retired. And I remember him saying to me after the fight that if he didn't know me, he would get me tested for steroids because I threw so many punches and I was so strong. You couldn't believe it.
Winning the Coffey fight so decisively got Wayne a shot at the NABF Bantamweight title against Javier Medina, who was a talented, undefeated Mexican fighter. In less than 1 year since turning pro, Wayne was getting a shot at his first belt. So let's pick up the action now in the McCullough-Javier Medina fight, which was contested in January of '94.
Wayne McCullough, the Olympic silver medalist in Barcelona, unbeaten, fighting for the NABF Bantamweight title tonight against Javier Medina. Welcome back to Omaha, round number 5. And this is following the same pattern right from the bell. McCullough across the ring and in Medina's face.
Well, yeah, and he does that in the ring as well as out of the ring. For a fighter to have 10 fights in 1 year is today unheard of. This is a man that's been very active this whole year, and he's on a mission to become heavyweight, become the bantamweight champion of the world.
Do you see any weakness in Wayne McCullough?
Well, if he goes up to heavyweight, that could be a problem, yes.
That left hand from McCullough connected.
That may be it. These are the weaknesses that Medina is saying. He's saying McCullough cannot take the shot.
Medina seems to be putting it on the line here in the 5th round. He's sensing the fight is getting away from him. I didn't have Medina winning any of the first 4 rounds. So he's come out now in the 5th trying to test McCullough's chin. And McCullough remains relentless.
What he is doing is he's waiting for McCullough just to slow down just a notch, which is what happened at the first part of this round. Then he wants to come back and steal the play away.
Can he keep up this pace for 12 rounds? Should it go the distance?
Knowing him, Wayne McCullough, knowing the people that he surrounded, Eddie Futch, Thell, Torrence, yes, they are professionals. Don't try this at home. I'm a professional. That's great. Rocket. Look at these body punches. You hit a man in the head, he can shake those punches off. But you go downstairs to the body, those add up. They accumulate. Boy, a lot of pressure. Action fighter. Wayne McCullough, non-stop, a punching machine.
McCullough's idol, another Irishman, former world champion Barry McGuigan. He says he wants to hold the world title like McGuigan.
Yeah, former featherweight champion, had a record of 30-2, 26 KOs. A great fighter, great person. He says he patterns his style after him.
And a tremendously popular fighter, even here early in the early stages of his pro career, because he gives the fans so much effort.
Yeah, both inside and outside the ring. He loves to fight. I have on occasion made some suggestions to him that he has picked right up on, and he's very good. Really listens well. All-around fighter. But he must be concerned about these punches that he's getting hit. These pot shots that Medina is landing on him.
Medina drops his hands as the body shot connects it.
Looking for that bell.
Here at the end of round number 5. As we start now round number 6.
Eddie Futch, an outstanding man, real gentleman outside the ropes. Former boxer himself. He fought at 142 pounds. He said when Joe Louis came to his town to get sparring, he sparred with Eddie Futch. Eddie Futch, 142 pounds fighting Joe Louis, heavyweight champion of the world. He said he hated working with him because everywhere he hit me, it hurt. 35-2, 20 KOs. Started giving instructions to fighters while he was still fighting. 18 world champions, Eddie Futch.
Well, meanwhile, his fighter is putting on an impressive display here in Omaha against Javier Medina. There's a definite pattern to this fight. McCullough starts strong. Medina ends up on the ropes, covering up, just trying to weather onslaughts like this one.
And looking for that sweet spot. You hit a man so many times in the head, and then finally you find that sweet spot and you knock him out. That's what Wayne McCullough is all about. Like a baseball batter who hits the home run. Look for that sweet spot.
Now just pounding away at Medina, and the crowd on their feet, many of them here in Omaha, sensing a knockout. Medina trying to fight his way out of it, but having little success. Target practice for Wayne McCullough.
stay close. Medina has not thrown a punch the last minute and a half. There's his first punch. Oh, Medina is very, very tired and very hurt, confused. Boy, look at this. No clinching in this fight.
Olympic silver medalist Wayne McCullough lost the gold medal in the finals to Joel Casamayor of Cuba in a very close bout. A lot of people thought that Wayne McCullough won the fight. And after a 14-year amateur career, has a very impressive start as a professional. Seems to be on his way to a title shot. Fighting tonight for the NABF Bantamweight title.
Look at the referee, Ron Stander. I think he's getting ready to stop it.
Hammering, pounding away.
Referee should stay close. Jim Medina's back in that shell, just defending, trying not to get hit. Referee should visit his corner between rounds.
Medina surviving round number 6.
He keeps going and going and going. Look at these punches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. These are the deceiving punches that I'm talking about. Fighters look at that and they go, he doesn't hit very hard. Well, the accumulation of punches is what does the damage. And while he's throwing those shots, he still is looking for that sweet spot.
And when Javier Medina went back to his corner, Sean, what did he say? As provided by our interpreter, Mark Biro.
He said, man, is he fast.
Very quick fighter. Even the overhand right connects, so does the left. And once again, Medina backing up.
I think Medina said he only hit me with one punch. That from the bell to begin the round and the bell to end the round. Big punches. Going down
to a knee. It's Javier Medina.
Takes a breath.
Drops to 2. Trying to shake it off. And he's up. Under 2 minutes remaining in round number 7. McCullough stepping up to try to finish it off. And the right hand stuns Medina.
The ref should stay close. Medina is getting poleaxed.
Ron Standler, a former heavyweight from the Omaha area, is the referee.
A former heavyweight that was not afraid to get hit. A fighter that was extremely durable, very tough, very rugged, hard to put down, never off his feet. Ron Stander. Or Joe Frazier. Frazier cut him. 4th round.
And back down again.
And you look at Medina and you say, look, hey, come on, kid, that's it. It's not your night. He's never been beyond 6. This Stander should stop this fight here.
He's up, asks, are you okay? Medina says yes. He looks into his eyes, and they continue.
Stay close. A couple of more shots, and it's time to stop it.
Remember, under NABF rules, the 3 knockdown rule not in effect. And Medina connects with a right hand. Under a minute remaining now in round 7.
He grabs it. Good clinch by Medina. You need the time. You need to recoup.
Another thing to note under NABF rules, the doctor cannot stop the bout.
Boom.
The referee, that right hand came in, and Medina's just wobbling. Leaning up against the rope. Under 30 seconds remaining.
Dangerous.
Round number 7.
Stander's ready to stop it.
McCullough firing at will.
That's it.
With the Javier Medina fight, I think he sold me with that fight. The kid was game, he was gutty, he threw good shots to the body, he was a good thinker, and he got Medina hurt, and he kept him hurt, and he went on and finished the fight.
By early summer of 1994, Wayne McCullough became the number 2 ranked bantamweight in the world. So that set up an elimination bout with 2-time world champion and now ranked number 1 in the world, Victor Rabanales, with the winner assured a shot at the WBC champion. This would prove to be Wayne McCullough's most difficult test to date.
Rabanales that was the first 12 rounds. I went 7 rounds was the most I went before that fight. And Rabanales was the most awkwardest opponent I've ever fought in my whole life. It was hard to land a clean shot on. When I watched tapes of him before the fight, he looked so easy to hit. but once they get in there, he was so awkward, and he threw punches like over the top and underneath, places where you've never been hit before. So that's why I took a bit of punishment in that fight, but I learned from that fight.
It was anybody's fight going into the championship round. Joining me calling the fight at ringside in Atlantic City was Barry McGuigan.
Absolutely, yeah.
McCullough, though, you know, he just keeps on working. Non-stop worker.
Yeah, and, you know, I like the fact that he's held a little back here. You know, we're now entering the 7th round, and this is new territory for him. He beat Javier Medina in the 7th round, but this guy doesn't look like he's going to go for a long time. He may have to go the full whack here with him, so he's just trying to set the pace for McCullough and be able to have something left in the later stages. And that's good work for him. He's using his head, he's thinking. But this guy's so dangerous, isn't he?
Oh, yes. Not only dangerous, he has come here to fight. There's no question about that as well, Barry. And, you know, the one thing that I've gotten living in Los Angeles, calling fights there for several years, is a very healthy respect for the Mexican fighters, because they show up to fight.
Yeah, well, this guy's in great shape, 31 years old or not. He's prepared himself admirably for this occasion. He was ready to fight in May, and the fight was postponed, so he's had lots of time to get ready.
Rabanales has not fought since November. 10-round decision win over Juan Soto. I would wonder, is that an advantage, or is that good for a guy who... there's a nice right hand from McCullough.
Good shot. A good right uppercut to the body from Rabanales.
Is it better for a guy Rabanales' age, you think, to take a few months between fights, or to continue to fight?
At this stage in his career, it's better. The long rest will not do him any harm at all. He's beginning to blow a bit here, Rabanales, and this is where Wayne can come on strong. But the distance between fights at this stage doesn't really make a difference. In fact, it's better for Rabanales if he takes a break. A good right hand for Rabanales. Wayne come back with a right hand himself. Good right hand to the body from Wayne. That's good stuff from him.
This is not surprising to see McCullough mixing it up in this fashion. He has been an action fighter, a non-stop puncher since he turned professional, but he has never fought a fighter again of Rabanales' caliber.
Oh, big right uppercut. Hit him with a backhand or two.
But you know, I'll tell you, to McCullough's credit, he's...
Oh, good right hand left hook from McCullough.
He answers back every time Rabanales comes up with a big shot.
Yeah, good left hook from McCullough too. This is better work from him. Good thinking fight from McCullough. This is good stuff. He's boxing better in this round. He's programming his attacks. Oh, low blow again from Rabanales. Good left hook from McCullough.
McCanny was on the other side of the ring. Couldn't see that low blow with the right hand. McCullough enjoying a very good round here. Although Rabanales has also had his moments in this round, but the impressive thing is every time Rabanales landed a big punch, McCullough was able to answer back with 2 or 3 more of his own. Fans from Ireland enjoying that action. McCullough looking a little more encouraged now in his corner. Very into it. That's Eddie Futch you see in the glasses looking in. We take a look at that last round. Let's see some of the action here.
Yeah, Torrence Rabanales heads around with that good right hand. Good right hand. Hit him right on the button with that one. This is better work from McCullough. He's using his tactics well, and he's programming his attacks better, much better. And he's got to do it with this guy, because this guy still dangerous right up to the last bell.
Round 8 at Donald Trump's Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We're in the Marchietis Arena. A lot of big-name fighters have fought here in this very arena in the past. James Toney, Michael Moore had his wild fight against Burt Cooper in this ring. Tommy Hearns has fought here. Tonight, the youngster Wayne McCullough from Northern Ireland against the veteran former world champion Victor Rabanales. Good left hand by Rabanales moving in, and Rabanales trying now to stem the tide a little bit, which appeared to be turning against him at the end of that round, and to come out and establish some momentum here in the beginning of round number 8.
Yeah, he's trying to take the play away from McCullough. McCullough had a good last round in the 7th round, and he wants to try and turn the tide in favor of himself here. And, you know, he's as I say, he's a well-traveled fighter, a lot of fights, and he's good left hook. He actually stood on his foot there too as well, so McCullough comes right back with a right hand to show he's not hurt. But yeah. So Ravenel is trying to pull it out in this round, trying to take control again. He just got to hold it together, tuck up nice and tight, and come back with straight, accurate, short combinations.
There he tried to put together the 1-2, which was successful in that last round, but although he landed the left, missed the follow-up right hand, and Ravenel is right back in his face.
Yeah, big right hand, straight through the middle. You don't even have to look for the big right hand. If you just throw it straight, the guy walks onto it. Just as we've seen with Ramsey Hassan, same thing. Just pop it straight out.
Constant pressure by Ravenel.
Ravenel is coming on heavy here. This is a big effort for him in this 8th round.
This is just a typical Victor Ravenales fight. He throws, you get two non-stop punchers like this, and this is the result. A very good fight, a lot of punches being thrown, and I would imagine a pretty close fight in the judges' scorecards right now.
Yeah, I would say so. Very, very close indeed. Ravenel is dangerous again with those big looping uppercuts. You just got to be careful here. Tuck up. This is a big effort from Ravenel. He's trying hard here. Oh, good right hand again from McCullough. Turns over that right hand. Good shot.
Ravenales a little wild himself, but he throws so many punches, he never lets that bother him. He just winds up the next one and comes from the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Just swings him from every different angle.
Good left hook inside by Ravenales, then a right hand, and here's a rally by Ravenales. As we come to the end of round 8, Ravenales finishing the round strong.
Yeah, start of the 9th round. We just go back to the 8th to see a good right hand from McCullough. I give that last round to Ravenales. He made a big effort, and again, he's hit McCullough just on the borderline there.
How do you have the fight scored so far, Barry?
I have it 77-76 to McCullough, and going into the 9th round here. But big round for Ravenales last time out. He was coming on, tried to step up, set the pace up. So I hope that Wayne's got something left in the tank here.
Ravenales trying to continue to put on the pressure, build on that momentum that he seemed to build again in that last round. This is not surprising, McCullough. Talked to him, he knew, his connections knew that he was in for a tough fight here tonight. He's trying to make a big, huge step up in class, of course, over the fighters that he's hard right from Ravenales, and that will stun McCullough, who now backs off into the ropes. Ravenales moves in. But a pretty good left there by McCullough. Stopped Ravenales in his tracks.
Came right back there to be hit with that right hand, just went straight in again, landed that right hand again on Ravenales, but
McCullough looking a little bit jaded though right now.
He's looking tired. Those earlier body shots have hurt him, there's no doubt about that. And Ravenales keeps standing on his toe. He's been doing that for the last couple of rounds.
He knows all the tricks. Good right hand to the body by Ravenales. McCullough fighting
combination from McCullough again. Straight combination. His eyes beginning to lump up McCullough, and Ravenales coming on strong here in this 9th round.
Ravenales on a good round 8. He's pouring it on here in round 9, although McCullough still willing and able to exchange with him.
Yeah, and McCullough still snaps back with those combinations. He's just got to try and drive him back with that right hand. It's good stuff from way above our heads here.
McCullough firing back, but he needs to land punches.
Yeah, he's not actually landing square like Ravenales is.
Now a double hook there by McCullough, left to the body and into the head. But look at Ravenales, look at the strange angles he throws from everywhere.
He steps in with these punches too. He steps in with them and puts them out.
I found out that Robin Ellis was so strong. He was as strong as Wayne was, and with a much more experience. And at the end of 3 rounds, I told Wayne that he was going to have to box him, and he would have to box him until I felt that we could fight him safely again. What I wanted him to do was to confuse Robin Ellis by changing from one style or one set of tactics to another, so that he couldn't be sure where Wayne was going to be or what he was going to be doing. And so that worked out. It worked out for us because Wayne, he boxed like I had never seen him do it before. I knew that he could box some, but I didn't know he could box that well. And but he really opened my eyes that night in that fight.
After the very tough fight with Robin Ellis, you might have thought that McCullough would take it easy, waiting for the promised title shot, but that was not the case. In fact, 2 fights later, McCullough flew to Dublin to take on the former world junior featherweight champion Fabrice Benechoux.
We don't make any snap decisions. All these things that are done are planned. I got to give credit to Matt Tinley. Matt is one of the guys that help pick the fighters. You know, we tell him the guy that we want. He get the guy. He get films into us. We look at the guy. Benechoux, the former champion, he's a tough guy, but he was in the right spot at the right time. You know, in order to, I explained some time ago that we train Wayne in phases. This was the phase that we need to move him into.
I had trained Benechoux in France for a while, and then again in the States for a while. And I knew his abilities, I knew his style, I knew what to expect him to do. And I knew it was going to be a test for Wayne, because Benechoux was one of those fellows who took advantage of every mistake he made, because he was a fine counterpuncher, and he not only, he didn't throw one punch, he threw counterpunch in combination. So it made it a little difficult for Wayne, because he wasn't accustomed to that.
The fight with Benechoux proved to be a bruising affair, as you will see as we pick up action in round 6.
But I haven't given him a single round yet against Wayne McCullough. McCullough's got all 5 rounds on my card, Barry.
I've given him a share of one of them, but I have McCullough in a resounding lead here. Now, this is exactly, as I say, what is likely to transpire. He doesn't need to take chances with him. He just needs to keep on the outside and not get caught with any of those clubbing punches, because Benechoux still holds weight in every one of those shots. They're heavy punches. He's got heavy hands. But he's predictable, and you can see them coming. And McCullough, again, every single time he hits him, it's with long, straight punches, and he's shaking this guy to the floor.
Are you satisfied with what you're seeing in McCullough tonight?
Yes, I'd like to see more of what he's doing now. He needs to be a little bit more defensive-minded. He needs to work on his defense. He needs a fair amount of work on that. And it needs to be instilled in his brain that he doesn't have to come forward every time. He can box, he can use the centre of the ring and do what he's doing now.
What's he like boxing on the retreat? Can he do that?
Well, it's, as I say, it's against his nature, and he doesn't like to do it, but he can do it. He's got lots of defensive skills and boxing ability. You know, we see it in the gym from him, but he doesn't do it when he gets into the ring. He's got so much courage and determination, and he's got this feeling that he needs to fulfill the crowd's ambitions of him, and he needs to satisfy them and feel as if they've had a night's action.
And a little nod of appreciation from McCullough as Benechoux caught him with a good left-right combination.
But again, he can make this easy by using his boxing ability. That's a good combination from McCullough. Look at the way he puts them together. This is good stuff. Oh, good right hand,
yes.
left hook.
He's using that left jab as a rangefinder, whipping over the right, and he's cashing Benechoux again and again and again. But boy, has this boy got a tough chin.
He's a tough cookie, and we've seen him before do it repeatedly. Just hang in there and get his chin whacked and tested over and over again. And it's not surprising. It doesn't surprise me. And McCullough's handling it very well.
The crowd may be just a little subdued by all this. They were hoping to see big fireworks, big spectacular knockouts.
Yeah, it's good right hand again from McCullough.
But they can't always have that.
No, and I'm sure Wayne would like to satisfy them by stopping this guy.
And he still might. He still might.
There's every chance that he will. Good right hand.
Yes, indeed.
Just as we speak, he lands a beautiful combination.
And just momentarily, the legs twitched of Benichou. He can be
right hand again.
The Frenchman trying to fight back. Good finish to the round by McCullough. At the bell, we'll take a break. 7th round, scheduled 10 here in Dublin. And McCullough is really starting to hit Benichou with every punch in the book now and hurting him.
Yeah, Benichou's coming back with his own fair shot, and Wayne has acknowledged a few times that this guy can hit, and he's strong. And it's turned into a really a good, tough, difficult fight. Like we predicted, Dave, it's always was going to be. And Wayne made it easier in the last round. He turned the pace down a little bit, used the distance in his punches, and I thought handled Benichou very well and looked like he'd hurt him with a good combination near the end of the round.
Well, as we said at the top of the show, every fight is almost like a world title fight for Wayne McCullough. Now, he can't afford to lose. If he loses, he forfeits his WBC #1 rating. That would be catastrophic for him. And it just concerns me that he's having a lot of tough fights at the moment.
Yeah, these sort of fights are very draining on a young guy, especially someone who's a slight build like Wayne. So he's got to be careful. He's got to get the mixture right. But that's always difficult in professional boxing. And as I say, there's a breath of fresh air to see him fighting a live opponent, and he really is fighting a live opponent, as we can see tonight.
Well, he'll have all the tough fights he wants if and when he becomes world champion. And that was decent from Benichou.
Yeah, good work and a little bit of distress from McCullough. But again, mixing it up and making it hard for himself. He could just go on the retreat. It's halfway through this round. And Wayne, not a good round for Wayne here. He can, again, he's not using his legs, and he should be doing that. Staying on the outside. And for the first round, Benichou's actually coming forward.
And Benichou's starting to look a little bit tired, a little bit careworn now.
Yeah, and Wayne's looking for the big one here. And he's making it a bit tough for himself. Benichou landed a couple of good shots there. Again, a little bit of a winch from Wayne. You can see him cocking up the right hand, Benichou, trying to crank it up. He's open for the right hand. He's almost inviting McCullough to come in and land that right hand. And Benichou's tired, but still heavy-handed. And Wayne hurt with a good body shot there, and holding Benichou as he gets up close like that. Yeah, he's got to use his legs now. He's got to stay on the outside, circle to the right, circle to the left. That's a good work from him. You see, he can use his skill when he needs to.
And still Benichou dangerous with these big roundhouse swings. Yeah, and he is getting through from time to time. This is not a bad round for the Frenchman.
Yes, this is a good round for
back comes McCullough.
McCullough comes back.
Great action to finish the round. Benichou glances over McCullough's shoulder at his cornerman.
Fabrice Benichou, he was former super bantamweight and featherweight champion of the world. And he was a small guy, about 5'4", but he was physically bigger. He was a natural featherweight, so we made the weight at like 123, and I stepped up and he came down. But he was physically stronger than me, and I won the fight in points in 10 rounds, and I probably won every round. But every time he hit me, I could feel just the physical strength of him. He's probably the biggest puncher I've fought.
Wayne went on, of course, to win the 10-round decision against Fabrice Benichou. And with one more win and a perfect 16-0 record, Wayne McCullough got his shot at the WBC champion, Yasui Yakushiji. That championship fight we will bring to you next. And in studio with us commenting on the fight between rounds will be Wayne McCullough himself.